Are you a bill payer or are you an investor? Are you a bill payer or are you an investor? These are two different mindsets. You see, wealth building is a mentality. You see, wealth building is a mentality. Personal finance is mostly psychological. Only a small amount of it is actual numbers. Dave Ramsey and other people said it. It's mainly behavioral and psychological. It really is. The idea that I don't live above my means. The idea that I'm not going to buy liabilities with all my money. The idea that I'm going to buy assets with my money. The idea that I'm going to buy assets that's going to generate income that will one day pay me. So eventually I do not have to trade my time for money. So wealth building, personal finance is mentality mainly. The smaller part of it, the numbers, interest rate, compound interest, that stuff is the smaller part of it, right? The actual numbers. That's the smaller part of it, right? If I invest X amount, getting X amount of interest rate, compounded for X amount of time, how much will I have? Those are math. Those are math. Those are numbers, pen and paper. Those are numbers. The mentality is the most important part because there will be no money, there will be no cash flow to invest into different asset classes and diversification and all that if the psychology is jacked up. So today we're going to talk about the psychology. There's a book called The Psychology of Money, and it talks about a lot of us, our behaviors with money come from our psychology of money, which can be traced back to our early childhood. So were you from a deprived childhood and money always seemed to come hard and we got to suffer to get money? But you're going to behave one way. And you're from another environment where money was seen as a tool to invest and to grow and to double, you're going to think another way. So sometimes we can't even beat ourselves up by the way we are. We are results of how we've been trained or taught to behave with money. So let's get back to the question. Are you a bill payer or are you an investor? Let's first talk about the bill payer. Most of us, I would say, myself included, grew up in an impoverished background. For many people, we grew up in an impoverished background. A lot of times we think we can outgrow it, but deep down in our psychological mind, I'm telling you, is the idea money is hard to come by. Man, money doesn't grow on trees. Um, you know, you got to work hard for money. And that mentality is there and it affects our behavior. So let's get back to the bill payer. What is the bill payer? The bill payer is the person who the entire focus of money is to pay bills. I don't want any late fees. I don't want any past due notices. I want to make sure that all my bills are paid. I put it on auto payment. So if my rent is due on the first of the month, I set it to be paid on the 25th of the month. I never want to be late. I don't want no late fee. That is that is a lot of our psychology. That is a lot of our psychology. I've never been late with my rent, my mortgage, my car payments, my insurance. Everything is automated. Everything gets paid. Mm. But let me say this, and and for a lot of us, that is the entire purpose of our check. You work, and you get paid. And when you look at your bank statement, or you see money flying out to insurance, flying out, and then you're down again. The month has passed. Everybody got paid. You're back down to zero, and you got to go back to work. Right? You hear that saying, I owe, so off to work I go. That's the psychology of the bill payer, right? And they may consider themselves, or even if you have other people, they may say, "Yeah, I'm good with money." Yeah, I'm good with money. But in reality, what they do is they make sure all the bills are paid, right? I'm good with money. But is that really being good with money? Is that really what the Bible considers a great steward of the talents, of the resources that God has given you? That what you do with everything I gave you? I paid bills. I paid all my bills. Not a good steward of money to pay bills. Everybody gets paid because they're making money off you. You can best believe that they're making money off you, right? They're making their 20 to 30%. The credit card is paid. They're making their money off you. A bill payer. So the bill payer, after there's many people, I'm telling you, that I know them who have been bill payers all their lives. They've worked, they're now retired, they've paid all their bills for 40 years, and there is nothing, absolutely nothing to show for it. Con Edison, which is a power company here in New York, they say, yeah, they've been a good bill payer. They paid all their bills for 40 years, never been late. And all you do when you pay your bills is you ensure that your light and your power stays on for the next 30 days. Bill paying is either backward looking or you're just paying for the current state. Essentially, that's what it is. When you pay your credit card bills, you're paying for money that was spent last month or last year. Backward looking. You're paying your rent or your mortgage, you're paying now for this current month so I can live there for the next 30 days. So it's either the current state or you're backward looking. That's what bill paying is. Investing, on the other hand, is we're looking forward. We're buying assets now that will pay us now and into the future. So there'll be one day. So one day we won't have to work for money. We're actually buying our time back. We're investing now to make money so that one day we won't have to trade our time for money and we could buy our time back. The mindset with investing is forward looking. We're buying assets now to pay us, whether it's rental properties or stocks or ETFs or bonds, or we are making, or we're buying or we are writing a book or other assets that will pay us royalty in time to come. Right? It's a different mindset because you know that you may do it one time and it will generate income in perpetuity, as Mr. Wonderful would say on Shark Tank. As opposed to when you work and work and work to pay bills, that work that you did will only pay that bill one time. To pay the light bill next month, you got to work and keep working. So the investing mindset is something that we have to cultivate because it's been so ingrained in our head, the bill paying mindset. That's important. Everybody says it's important. You got to have your power. You got to have your water. You got to have your rent. You got to have a roof over your head. That's all true. Absolutely. That's all true. But no matter if you pay your rent or your water, your gas, your electricity, your insurance for 25 years, you're not getting anything back. Once that month is over, you got to pay again. You need to, and we need to, have that same passion and fervor and drive that we have to pay our bills, that we don't want to be late, to invest in ourselves. The same way you never let a month go by without paying your mortgage. A month shouldn't go by without you buying assets for yourself, whether the S&P 500 or individual stocks, whatever it is, you need to buy assets for yourself. But now that mindset has to be created, that I am just as important. I am more important than the banks. I'm more important than the insurance company. I'm more important than the credit card company. So I got to invest in myself. That's where they come with that saying, pay yourself first. We pay everybody else. We pay everybody else first. Pay yourself first. Pay yourself first. Invest into your dreams by cultivating a habit, whether it's 10%. You may not be able to start with 10%, start with $100 and then crank it up, $200, and then maybe get to a certain percentage, 5%, 8%, 9%, 10%, 11%, 12%, 18%, 20%. Invest in yourself so that you can begin to build that compounding machine. So you can build that compounding machine by buying assets. And the same fervor in which you pay your rent and gas and utilities and all that should be the way that you invest. 1 month will not go by without me investing. I live below my means. So the excess, the cash flow, I invest. And the good thing about investing is that when your assets grow large enough, they will generate passive income, and you can use some of that passive income to live and to pay your bills. So investing, you will be able to not only live, but also pay your bills. But if all you do is pay your bills and you have no assets, there'll be nothing left over for you to live. With investing, you can do both. The assets can generate income for you to live and pay your bills. But when you pay your bills, all you're going to have is, okay, your balance is zero. You owe nothing, great. But also your assets are also zero. Your bill is zero and your assets are zero. But if you invest, you will be able to use that passive income to pay your bills so that your bill is zero, you have zero balance, but also money left over, lots of money left over for you to live. You have to get our mindset into being an investor. I remember being young and watching news and hear the news, people talk about investors, or the S&P 500 is up, or the S&P 500 is flat, or the S&P 500 is down, and investors are doing this, and investors are doing that. And I never thought of myself, I always thought, who are these investors that they're talking about? Who are these investors? I certainly didn't consider myself an investor. My mother wasn't an investor. The people in my family weren't investors. My neighbors, I don't think, you just grow up not really thinking and looking at seeing people that look like us and people in my circle as investors. I don't think of themselves as investors. So what do you think of when you think of investors? When you think of investors, you think of people in other communities. You think of people who grew up differently, and you think of wealthy people, people in different zip codes. That's what you think. That's what you think of when you think of investors. And what are we? We are bill payers. But to change that mindset, for you to think of being an investor, then you got to change that mindset that I buy assets. I buy assets. I'm an investor. I'm looking for the long term, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40 years. I'm an investor. And investors have cash flow that they can invest. Investors educate themselves, like what you're doing right now, watching the MD Investor. Investors live below their means. Investors have a plan. Investors have a strategy. Investors invest. Invest in themselves and their knowledge. Investors have portfolios. So investors have portfolios. So when you start thinking of yourself as an investor, start behaving like an investor. Start having attitudes like investors. Oh, this is a good deal, right? So a person who is not an investor, it's a bill payer, will walk into the store and say, oh, they're 50% off. And they will buy it and go buy stuff that they don't even need. A person who is not an investor will go into the store and say, oh, they're having a sale, 50% off. Let me go buy it. And they'll buy stuff that they don't even need. But an investor, when the stock market falls, S&P 500 falls, they say, oh, the stock market's on sale. I'm going to buy more stocks. The stock market's on sale. That's an investor mentality, because it might be down now, but the general trend, it goes up over time. So guys, this is an important, crucial mindset. Personal finance is mainly psychological. So once you turn that switch and said, I am an investor and I invest, so I need cash flow. So therefore, I cannot be in debt and giving all my money to the credit card company. So an investor invests. So you see how it all comes together? Because I'm an investor, I need money to invest. And we don't have an infinite amount of money. So the money that I have, I can't give it all to the credit card company. I can't give it all to the banks and insurance company and to the restaurants. So therefore, I will pay off my high interest debt. I will live below my means. I will maybe get another part-time job to increase my income and my cash flow. And then I will use that cash flow to invest in assets that will pay me dividends and interest and capital gains. And I'll reinvest and I will keep investing and I'll grow my portfolio. That's the mentality. So I will pay myself first by investing and buying assets. Yes, I got to be responsible and pay my debts, but I will pay myself first because at the end of the day, you and I are more important than any banks or insurance companies or restaurants. You can buy the bank by buying bank stocks. You can buy the insurance company by buying the insurance company stocks. You can buy the credit card company by buying the credit card company stock. But don't just be a customer and paying bills because at the end of the day, the most you can get is your balance down to zero. You may get a few trinkets here and there, but if you're carrying a balance and you're paying them interest, you're losing in the end. So in this new year of 2024, set it in your mind that you're going to be an investor and not a bill payer. When the new months come, instead of worrying that, I got to pay the mortgage or the rent now, thinking, it's a new month. I wonder how much dividends I'm going to get this month. Because you're going to be an investor and not a bill payer. Again, the MD Investor bringing us another video so we can increase our financial IQ, teach our children, and break the cycle of generational poverty. MD Investor out.